Hello again. I'm just kind of bringing you into the meat grinder, show you a little bit of something what I'm trying to working on today. So, just the background is I've been working through this series of books from Russel Brunson. He's got three of them in a series: .com Secrets, Expert Series, and Traffic Secrets. So, what this has done is got me down on this path of trying to figure out what do I want to do with my marketing, because I have a software called Arbidon.com. It's an ERP for Amazon sellers. So the way I've kind of got it together, I've engineered it to where I got my MVP, and got to the point where I don't really feel like I got the marketing figured out, and so I'm trying to figure out where does my application sit in the market space, looking at the competitors, and now I've kind of been breaking down what are the key steps in my customer's journey, and where am I tying in, and how does this all play together, and all this kind of stuff. Because I'm looking at these wonderful, marketing ideas. I'm counterbalancing that with my own 1585 rule that I've talked about in a few of my videos. And how does that work, and how does that apply in this situation? And so, just kind of breaking down what I've got here. I got a bunch of messy writing, but so someone who starts in the FBA starts here. They open their new accounts, and then they go through this kind of. I've got these five or six key steps here. So one day they've made their first sale, and that's the first buzz. That gets you hooked, and you want to keep going. And then the next time they have like a really big day. I remember my first day was, I think it was like $800 of sales on a Prime Day, like a year after I opened. I'm like, well, this is phenomenal. I was doing just small dollars, but this big day happened, and I was like, wow, it's never left me. Like it was just this momentous occasion. And then what happens there? You get kind of big enough that there's issues. You got Amazon changing the rules. You got other sellers manipulating things, fake claims, all sorts of customer returns. So there's these depressing moments, but you work through that, and then at some point you get to the point where, okay, well, I've been selling $50 a day, $100 a day, a couple $100, $1,000, and you have this mind shift that happens. Hey, this is a real business. I could see this working into a real full-time career. And so then that's becomes the next focus for most of these sellers. Full-time, that's what that's stage 3 is. How do I get full-time? What do I need to do to get there? How can I achieve success once I'm there? And then, so they're maybe making, let's say, anywhere from $250,000 to, $1.5 million in gross sales, because you don't get to keep all that. Obviously, there's costs and lots of stuff. And then the next phase that you go through as a seller is this, what I call this growth stretch. And I call it a stretch because now you're starting to hit all sorts of compliance problems. Now you're hiring staff. That's a whole different thing. You need to standardize your business. You need to do a lot of work to kind of actually materialize the early things that you've done as a seller and get yourself past that point so you can grow to the next step, which is you're now making huge bucks. You're making maybe 8 figures in sales, and you've got a staff in place and supervisors and managers, and you're able to now, you want to step away. You want to go spend your life doing some creative ventures, new businesses. You want to maybe go and contribute back to the community, volunteer, whatever you want to do. But there's kind of this pattern of things. So it's that first sale, you got your first big win, your realization is a real business. You've made the jump, quitting your day job. Now you're doing this full time, growth stretch, et cetera, et cetera. So this, the one thing about this whole thing is there's lots of people starting off. Like this, I think 2 million Amazon sellers, probably something like 1 million sign up a year, and then they're gone in no time. Because they don't read the terms of service, and Amazon's hefty and killing you if you don't follow the rules. So there's all this kind of stuff, and the market squeezes down, then it gets really, really small, and it's something like maybe 2 or 3% of all the sellers are in this last bucket 5. Maybe 15% of the whole market's up in this 3, 4, 5 space. It's a very, very small community, to be honest with you. So when I built my software, that's what this whole section is here. Ignoring these 2 ends for the second. This is what my software is, and the way I've kind of set it up is that it's priced fairly high right now, because I'm trying to get these guys up here, when they're starting off, they're making a lot of Amazon mistakes. And I was worried that if I go and do introduce myself at this stage, I'm not at the point where I'm going to make enough money to support their questions on Amazon and how to do business on Amazon, or how to run a business in general. And I just wanted to be able to provide support on my software. But the issue is, okay, now what I've done is I've priced myself out of this entire market here, and then I know that I can provide a lot of value going into the higher revenue generating sellers. But the issue is I have a kind of a diminishing value because at some point my stuff isn't going to be enough to support a really really big seller. Now my plans would be to in order to capture this early market, I need to change some stuff in my user interface, make it simpler, more user friendly in some ways, simpler wizards, and then price it accordingly. And then I can reach back into this at this earlier stage in the customer's journey. And on the other side, that's all about integration, because I'm building a platform, not just a software. And so that means I want to be able to plug a lot more stuff into it, and then have other people plug into mine, so I can have my own API, so that people do a lot of cool stuff. Now these 3 boxes here represent my competitors. So when I started off as a seller, there was this guy here. They're kind of considered all that for the marketplace. Everyone thinks they're the standard, the gold standard. But I saw that there were some limitations there. First of all, doesn't support Canada. I'm in Canada, so I had to stop using them. But even if I was only selling in the United States or some of the markets they do support, there's limitations there. Like they don't really have enough there to support that. So for me, they were off the list, but they still exist for a lot of sellers out there, even the ones that are selling in Canada who do sell in the States. Now, then I flipped and found another tool, lower price, and it was okay, did the basics for me as an early seller. And what I found, and this is actually what inspired me to make my software, was that as I got to about the $20,000, $30,000 in revenue mark, there's so many limitations. It's just like summary of vendors, and there's no detailed level of anything. So I didn't feel like I could run a business off of this, because I've seen business systems, I've seen ERPs, I've seen financial management systems. I consulted on those for almost a decade, and I know that you got to have more than that to run a business. So I felt like if you're doing a real business, you're stuck with this. This is done. Like, so that's where I got building my system, so I could replicate some of the core features of both of these 2 vendors, and then do more and provide options to do more down the line as well. And then there's this other thing that's out there that's more like a graphical kind of analyticals thing. So you get a lot of sexy graphs and charts and stuff like that. So kind of looking at when a potential customer would start using this, I think this one here would be fairly early on to kind of, there's a certain point here. So that's probably around when they realize it's a real business. And then just a little bit before that, this other tool, that if they're in the States, they could start using it. But pretending they were also available in Canada, they could start using it kind of in this frame here, just because of the cost. There's fees. Same thing with this one here. There's a little bit, not as much fees as these other ones, but it gives you a lot of insights in terms of profitability, stuff like that. But it also has limitations. And so this one here, you'd stop using it probably around just, well, maybe this is a little bit fair. Go up here. And even this one here too, a little more life on that. But anyway, you get to a point where they have limitations. You get to a point you have to grow out of it. And that's why I've built my system the way it is, so I can pick these guys up as they're growing out of that. Because I thought, okay, if I pick up the good sellers, the big sellers, great. But now that I look back at this, I'm thinking, okay, 1585 roll. Maybe before I made a big, huge ERP, I should have made some sort of simple something to just get some of these guys in here, and then grow it. Because now I've been on this thing for 3 years, and it does a great job, but I don't have these people trying to convince these guys who've been using this thing for, as you can see, a long time, to jump into my system. It's going to be a harder jump, because I've gone a little bit wider in features, not as deep. So this tool here, on this line here, it does this one thing fairly deep. Like it's pretty mature. It's been around for a few years. Same thing with this one here. It's got that analytics. It's very detailed and very matured in that space. I've got some of those, but it's thinner. It doesn't do as much. But I also have 6 or 7 other things that these guys don't even touch. Plus a whole new thing that I'm talking about outside of this video. But that one is, nobody's got it. That's my blue ocean idea on how to make this blow all these guys out of the water. But for now, I'm like figuring out is what do I need? How do I get this making some money for me? And so, anyways, this is what I'm working through. I'm figuring out, okay, where I'm at now. How do I get revenue generating customers? And so, if that's the goal, I need to figure out what's my 15% of that. So that's what I'm working on today. And just trying to get through the isolation, but I need to figure out, who's my customer. And I have a lot more detail about how I've documented some of those customer journey things and whatnot. But yeah, it's just that's what I'm working on. So, anyways, this is just me talking and figuring out how to do my business. Hope this is helpful for you guys and seeing what you guys are also facing. If you have any thoughts or comments, we'd be glad to hear you. If you are an Amazon seller and if you think there's any more steps in that journey that you've gone on, let me know. I'm curious to hear that. If you have any cool war stories that you want to share with me or my audience about this, I'd love to hear those too. So definitely reach out. Anyways, have a great day.